Hi, listeners. Yet another podcast. We are super excited to have our first official guest for Cubicle Chimps podcast. Close friend of both Raghu and mine. Born in Kolkata and raised in Mumbai, Nayantara Sanyal is a lawyer working for Alticid Global as a partner in their Cochin office. Nayantara studied in Government Law College, Mumbai, after which she worked with Kaitan and Company and Anand and Anand. It's after she moved to Cochin and started working for Alticid that I got to know Nayantara better. And what I've understood after interacting with her and working with her on some projects of my own is that she's a expert in IP law, and she has great insights on why it's important for companies to focus on IP and focus on ensuring that they protect their IP. So, Nayantara, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the podcast. And Raghu, I hope you're excited for this podcast.
Yeah, very excited. And we call Nayantara Noi, right? So I think we'll continue that way. Otherwise, I think it's going to be tough, Seb. What do you say?
I totally
During
agree. I
this?
totally agree. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the podcast, Noi.
Hi, Seb and Raghu. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm very honored to be your first guest, first official guest. So
Yes,
thank you
Noi.
for that.
You're now a official cubicle chimp, like I was just mentioning, right? So
I
welcome to
am
the
very
family.
honored.
No, we are honored to have you as a guest. And I think, generally, right, we've been generally talking about what happens in the startup and how we solve for it and what are certain strategies we generally use. Bringing you and the insights we're going to discuss in this will actually bring the technical aspects of, the IP and other few things which comes along with it. For a startup, but not only for a startup, for any employee, it's a good to know information.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if you look at the current scenario with COVID and lockdown of your factories and manufacturing units, etc., all of
Yeah.
those properties, machinery, all of that is depreciating in value. The
Mhm.
only asset base for any company, be it a startup or an MSME or a large multinational, the only portfolio that is growing is the knowledge based portfolio, which is your IP. Irrespective of the size of it, whether you are a mom and pop store, or you're a startup, or you are a multinational, or you're a bank, whatever it is, at the end of the
Okay.
day, forms the basis of your long term asset base, or should form the basis of your long term asset.
Interesting. So that's the only appreciating asset, which, and I think everybody will be interested to know more about it. So now, can you, can you please, tell, for even I'm a layman when it comes to these terms, and for some of our listeners, can you just break it down and tell us what is IP?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So IP basically stands for intellectual property. So
Okay.
it is any kind of property or anything that is created. So it's intangible creations of the human intellect, so as to speak.
Okay. Okay.
Some of the most well-known ones are, I'm sure you've heard of trademarks.
Yes. Yes.
So if I were to give you an example, if I were to make the noise ting ting ting, would you guys know which company I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Uh,
Britannia.
Correct. So that's a trademark. It's called a sound mark because it
Okay.
gives
okay.
identity. There is no tangible expression of ting ting ting, right?
No, no.
Correct.
Except for the musical notes. Musical notes become your intangible asset. You can touch factories, but you can't touch musical notes. But does
Correct.
that mean the musical note, the value, that the recall value that a brand enjoys at the end of the
Okay.
day in the mind of the consumer with the notes ting ting ting, where even for generations can identify that jingle, right?
Yes.
Has no
Correct.
value as compared to a factory that is crumbling and falling down. So when the human intellect creates something
Mm-hmm.
which over time gets value or is valuable because of its innovation or how it is helping society, etc., there are certain standards that need to be maintained.
Okay.
If those qualifications are met, then that becomes IP or intellectual property.
So, okay, then how do we connect that with the startup? Like, why is it so important for a startup? Can you throw some light around that now?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. what happens when you're a startup, most startups I've worked with are not really very well funded. Like you work on a constrained budget, right?
Correct.
And if you're
Yes.
working on a constrained budget, it is very unlikely you're going to be investing in assets such as machinery that isn't absolutely necessary for you. Machinery
Agreed.
also costs money. All of
Correct.
the, but you have to create a name, right? You have to give your company a name. You have to give your product a name, right?
Yes.
Irrespective of what your budget is, that name has to be given and made popular into the market. Otherwise your company will, your startup will fail irrespective. So
Yes.
then in that case, that name becomes part of your identity. It becomes your calling card to the market, which therefore means it should be protected. You are its proprietor. You don't want anyone else to copy you.
Oh, so
So
then you could.
one of the primary reasons why IP is and it's a lot cheaper to protect and create than building factories and buying machinery. So it's less capital intensive to create. Then IP has the potential to generate business or income for the startup for a very, very long period of time, irrespective of whether the startup is using that or commercializing that IP or not. Take for
Okay.
instance, have you guys heard of the brand Indulekha?
Yeah.
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 So you must be aware that it's sold for a significant amount of money.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
come across that. Yeah.
yeah. So it was widely reported in newspapers.
Okay. So how did that happen? I'm just
Yeah.
curious
So
now.
what happened there is Indulekha. Anyway, it was a homegrown brand that was being advertised as a home remedy for hair fall, etc. So
Mm-hmm.
they had a certain amount of market share in the southern part of the country as a result of normal business practices, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what
Okay.
they did was they registered their IP, they identified their IP and they registered it.
Okay.
And then when Hindustan Unilever wanted to come in that segment, for them it made more sense to buy a brand that already has recall value rather than start at ground level. So virtually what the promoters of Indulekha did was they sold their brand name and the know-how of how to make the oil to this
Understood.
conglomerate. They didn't have to
Okay.
sell any of their production units, any nothing else, just the rights to the use of the name and the rights to the production process. Basically, through mechanisms of license, sale, or franchisee, whether you are using that IP or not, you can continue to generate income on it.
Understood. So if in case in Indulekha, actually, then if they hadn't protected their IP, then their valuation or they would have been easily, they would have run the risk of losing all the money which they otherwise earned, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Seb, I think we have to talk to Noy after this podcast about, doing an IP for cubicle chips.
I
I
totally
think you
agree. I
should.
totally agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
coming full
sorry,
circle.
another thing that is really important for startups, why IP is great, is you have it enhances your value or worth of your business for investors or any financial institution. So now you have banks that have started in India taking
Mm-hmm.
mortgages of IP.
Okay.
So one of the famous ones is Kingfisher. He mortgaged
Okay.
the goodwill value of the brand name Kingfisher. It's a different thing. What happened after that is has nothing to do with IP. Your valuation can be drastically affected depending upon how strong or weak your IP portfolio is.
Totally agree. I think all the startup founders should run towards IP and making sure they have it immediately after at least listening to this podcast.
Yeah, and
You should
Yeah.
definitely come to me.
why just the startup founders? I think there are so many entrepreneurs and businesses that have been there for generations that have not protected their IP. I think they are at an even bigger risk than any startup founder is at the moment. So yeah, definitely.
110% agree with you, Seb.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Ah,
So moving on, you mentioned IP being an intangible asset. Can you elaborate on what are the different forms of IP that can be considered, or different things that you can protect under IP that can be considered as intangible assets?
Sure. Like I was saying, intangible assets can be of different types. It could be human, it could be know-how, it could be technology, it could be software, it could be hardware, it could be brand name, it could be a sound. So anything that's intangible virtually can be an asset if it is valued like that or marketed like that.
So I
Understood.
think just to clarify, like I think I remember asking you this also a long time ago, when you say that even insignificant things can be considered
Mhm.
as intellectual property. I remember talking to you about the possibility of trademarking the training methodologies used by our company. So you said,
Correct.
yeah, even things like that can definitely be
Absolutely.
protected.
Absolutely. So the fact that you have created something that streamlines your training process, or makes it more efficient, or makes it easier to consume, or explain to the trainees, etc., in itself means that you have applied your intellect to it and created something that is better than what is existing.
So the length and breadth and scope of IP protection is very vast, basically.
It is as long as you're not trying to protect an idea, but the execution of the idea, you are entitled to IP.
Ah,
And it
can
and
you
it is
explain that a little bit more? That's interesting. Can you explain that a little bit more?
sure. So I often get asked, like, I have an idea, and
Okay.
it's really novel, but
Okay.
and I don't want anyone to copy it. So when I ask them, okay, what is it, how have you, is it a product, is it a process, is it a service, what type of innovation is it bringing into the market? So they will give me this grand explanation, and then I'll be like, okay, can I have like the documentation for it? And they'll be,
Hmm.
and then there's nothing, it's all in the head.
Got
So
it.
if it's in your head and there's no execution of it, you can't protect it. I often give the example of Uber and Ola. If you look at the ideas are the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're both taxi apps that you can work from your smartphone. Now,
Yeah.
if IP protected the idea, only one would exist, but the other wouldn't.
Oh, the monopolizing of the idea cannot happen,
You
but the
can
way you
correct.
do it can happen.
Absolutely. So the
Understood.
objective of IP as a law or
Mhm.
as a concept was to encourage innovation and to encourage healthy competition, so that the consumer at the end of the day benefits.
So I don't know,
Excellent.
just asking off the bat, but
Mm.
you told about some great success stories like Goodnight. Are there any companies which lost out without doing an IP, if you know it? I'm just
Oh, there'll be
curious.
numerous. Trademark law states that you can only get a trademark for a brand name that acts as a source indicator for the product or the service. The consumer who is buying it should be able to, from the package, from the name, identify who is the source, where is it coming from. If I can give you an example, there was a store, I don't know, Seb, if you remember, on MG Road, that had opened by the name of YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Amazing.
A clothes store, right? A clothes
Yeah,
store.
clothes
Yeah.
store by the name of YouTube. Now, trademark
Okay.
classes are watertight, and there are a lot of laws protecting inter-use of marks. But if you're
Okay.
going to go for something as well known as YouTube, then you are going to get sued for infringement of trademark, because they're huge. Everybody knows what YouTube is. Then it is likely for a consumer to believe that that shop has some connection with YouTube.
Or are you sure that Google didn't open that store?
See, it made you think, didn't it?
Yeah, we are pretty
Okay.
certain. We are pretty certain that Google didn't open that store.
We are
Okay.
pretty certain, but why take the chance?
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally agree with you. Yeah, it's kind of okay. Now I can relate to things what you're saying. Okay.
So
Okay.
as a somebody who's in a family business,
Mhm,
something that I feel it's important for people who are in that stage where probably the business has been around for 20 or 30 years.
mhm.
What are some of the most important areas that they need to focus on to protect through IP?
So, Seb, see, the thing is, there isn't one size fit all formula for companies. It depends largely on what that company does, what is the scope of work, how long have they been around, etc., etc. Now, if I were to give you an example, take your company.
Right.
you primarily are distributors, right?
Yes.
You distribute not under your brand name, you distribute under the brand name of the manufacturer,
Absolutely. Yes.
right? But
Yes.
still you have customers who only come to you,
Yes.
correct? So then
Correct.
your value, what is valuable for you is your brand name. Therefore trademark would apply to you. So most family owned businesses that have been around for why 20 years, even if it's been around for 10 years, or even for like a few years, if you have market value, if you have a market share, if your brand has a certain amount, not even a certain amount, if your brand has a marketplace, has a space in the marketplace, in that case you need to get trademark. So first and foremost, I would recommend for all of these family owned companies to get a clear trademark registration and ownership of trademark. Often
Hmm.
what we find is that sorry, I might be going off on a bit of a tangent, but I think it's important. Often in family owned businesses there are multiple brothers all
Yeah.
using the same trade name, or
Yes.
or all
Probably the
involved
original
in
business was started by a
the
father or
grandfather,
grandfather or somebody, and then
correct?
multiple. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
you have multiple people, and often people say, oh, it's a family business. And at the end of the day, when it comes to money, all of that goes out of the window.
Yeah.
So then there is
Go.
no clear ownership. If your ownership of intellectual property is not clear, then again it will affect your valuation. So in these situations where there are multiple generations in the same business using the same brand name or slight variations of those brand names, it is imperative that you not only register the trademark, but you also get an agreement in place with regard to user, or you set up a mechanism of company that will own the trademark while supervising the use of it or licensing the use of it with the family members. That is one thing I would say. Then again, it depends on what that company has been engaged in the business of. For you,
Hmm.
like you said, because you are dealing with training people, etc., in that case you have another avenue of IP generation, which is your literary works and your which would cover your manuals and all of that. But there is a lot of scope for companies that are tech heavy or production heavy manufacturing units, where
Got
there
it.
is scope for innovation, for them to create very very strong IP portfolio.
So now I'm going to go back to startups because I'm a little biased towards startups. And why? Because I think, I really believe that, to achieve the 5 trillion or a $10 trillion economy, startups will play a big role in the coming years or in the next 10 years, right?
Yeah,
So I just want to, like, for a lot of our listeners or generally, right, what would you say in simple terms, if you have to say quickly, three basic yet very critical legal aspects someone who's about to start a company should know? Of course they'll go and do their own due diligence and things like that, but at least they should start thinking of those. Yeah.
so first and foremost is formalizing the business structure and having a
Okay.
founders agreement. So you
Okay.
have to first figure out whether you're a proprietorship, you're a private limited, you're a limited liability partnership, a partnership. What are you? Depending on what structure your company, your startup takes on, your
Okay.
compliance list has to be made out and ready. You must always have a compliance list prior to getting your company started. The other thing that I recommend is, like I said, founders agreement, which is basically whether you are a partnership. Now, if you're a sole proprietorship, you're an individual person, it's a different matter. So having a proper agreement, like even between partners, like I know a lot of people who start businesses with friends,
Okay.
and they're very very reluctant to put their understanding into writing. What are the mutual covenants, who, how does the money work, etc. they, they
Got it.
they always say, oh, he's my friend and she's my friend, and we'll figure it out, or we get each other. But having a founders agreement, or a partnership agreement, is absolutely imperative.
Wise words.
When you say founders agreement, this is completely a separate piece of paper from the actual formalizing of the business, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The next thing I would say, you must be aware of the relevant licenses that you need.
Okay.
We live in
Okay.
a license raj, And
Okay.
each company, depending, or each startup, depending on what the scope of service or product is, will
Okay.
need the corresponding licenses depending on what you need. Like a restaurant would need a food safety license agreement. The next thing I would say is protect your intellectual property, like I've been saying all this while.
Yeah.
It's like the secret sauce for most businesses.
Okay.
So, particularly if you are tech centric, definitely protect your intellectual property. Startups have great schemes now. There is the startups intellectual property protection scheme that startups can look into. The next thing I would do say is, no, again, like going back to knowing your licenses, know your taxation laws. Particularly in the startup scenario, you have a
Mhm.
lot of tax vacations and exemptions that are available for startups that you should definitely look into and know. Be aware. Like for instance, you a startup can avail a income tax exemption for a period of 3 years, as well as a tax exemption from capital gains and investments above fair market value. Now, knowing that helps you structure your books and structure everything accordingly, right? And lastly, what I think is very important and goes back to my original point of having agreements is
Okay.
contract management. You must know at the crux of the so at the crux of every business are contracts. Everything in all businesses are governed through contracts. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Correct.
Seb. Does your
Yes,
business
yes,
not essentially run on pieces of paper?
100%.
So for it to work smoothly, you have to be aware of what contract is for what period, what is the termination clause, what is your territory. It's not always feasible, and particularly as companies grow, it's not feasible to for the promoter to do your contract management on their own, which is why law firms like ours come in, where we
Okay.
work on retainership basis and we take care of that. But
Okay.
basically, it's very important to have a system in place that manages your contracts. This is true of IP portfolios as well. Just
Understood.
like I said, registering your trademark, very important, but it's equally important to maintain that trademark.
Wow, six really valuable pieces of wisdom. Thank you so much, Noy. I was just
Thanks,
thinking while you were talking, I mean, you must have had so many opportunities to interact with several high achieving entrepreneurs since you started at Alticet. What would you say is the most interesting part of interacting with such leaders in their different lines of business?
Yeah, I have met quite a few of business leaders, so as to speak, and fairly young businessmen. I think they're really passionate about what they do. It's not a job, it's not a mechanism for making money or livelihood. It is something they really like doing. They can talk about it for hours, and you can see it in their eyes that it really excites them. I mean,
Understood.
if you it's not going to excite you, I know it sounds very cliched, but if it is not going to excite you, it's probably not worth doing.
So
No,
true,
no,
so
no. That's
true.
why these entrepreneurs are, I think we should.
That and alcohol, two things that are good.
Yeah, that's another podcast topic for another day, Noy.
Yeah, I think part two with Noy, we should have separate
Yeah,
Cubicle Chimps podcast.
yeah. Great. Thank you for sharing that. That's very insightful. Thank you.
My pleasure.
This has been a really enlightening and refreshing podcast for us. I finally get to hear somebody else's perspective other than Raghu's. So for me, at least,
And
it's
finally,
been...
I get to hear somebody's voice other than Seb.
So we really enjoyed ourselves and we got to learn a lot about IP and why it's important. Thank you so much for joining, Noy.
Wow, thanks so much, Seb and Raghu, for having me. It was great fun, and I love
Yeah.
talking about IP. I can go on for forever.
If you don't mind, I'll share how people can get in touch with you in the show notes. So you can let me know how you want people to get in touch with you.
Absolutely, you can share my contact details with them. No problem.
Seb, I really think it's a coincidence. I think Noy also knows, right? My father was a lawyer, so our first, podcaster as a lawyer is a coincidence, and I have a special place for lawyers. And I think the work and the things that you guys do and talk is very. I don't know. It always I know, got, how do I
Thanks,
say,
man.
got me
Raghu,
inspired.
lawyers have the worst reputation.
No,
I'm
no,
sick and
that
tired
is by
of those
someone.
stupid lawyer ano, liar ano jokes.
Awesome.
Raghu, do you have a quote to leave our listeners with this time, or are we spared?
Yeah, I think I actually didn't come prepared with the quote because I was not talking about the topic, but I think I'll tell one word or two words. IP it.
IP it.
Ooh, see, you can
I just came up with it.
IP it.
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
IP it, yeah.
Okay, free of charge, I think. If Noi can help me, I think I'll do it.
Great.
Never ask your doctor, chartered accountant, or lawyer to work for free.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand. Okay. I'll pay for the IP to get it IP.
Nice.
Right. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It was great fun. And yeah, I look forward to a part 2 if we can manage it.
See, what we discussed in the last 30 minutes, right? One is it's good for the listeners. They learn a lot. And, after this, they go back and relate to a lot of things which they do in a company. Otherwise, they don't get to hear. But personally for us, right, we learn so much, interacting with people in a forum like this, like you for this instance and for the future guests. I think it's a great thing, and we're excited about the journey ahead.
So thank you,
Awesome.
guys, and thank you, listeners. Look forward to the next podcast soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.